We have breaking news on this Sunday morning as Jeremy Swayman has officially signed an 8-year by $8.25 million extension with the Boston Bruins. Now, this was not the most ideal way of getting to this point, but we were all confident that at some point we would get here with Jeremy Swayman. I'm going to be breaking down everything that we know right now about this contract leading up to this and pretty much what happened. Why did we get this so immediate at this point on the random Sunday morning ahead of the regular season? But as I said, it's official, and, I'm not even going to ask you guys to subscribe because I know we've been all waiting for this, but I just can't fathom how excited we are to have Jeremy Swayman back with this team. So let's get into it. Swayman is officially back, and we're going to have a very busy season ahead of us now with Jeremy Swayman. More news coming out. We're going to be having a lot of videos breaking down everything going up to the first game of the regular season, right down to the last, but let's pull up the first screenshot. I'll pull up on the bigger one so you can see it bright and clear. The Boston Bruins have tweeted, Sway is signed. Now, I've seen some reports from Elliot Friedman, Pierre LeBrun, a bunch of other reporters, but I needed to wait until the Boston Bruins posted something themselves just for the sake of my confidence, because we've seen reports where things were getting closer, but nothing came out of it. So officially, Jeremy Swayman is signed. Now, from the events that happened over the past few days with Cam Neely saying $64 million, not 64, closer probably to 60, 67. I don't know the math right now, but the deal is done. That's what matters. Move on to our second screenshot here. Going over, sorry, there we go. My apologies. Jeremy Swayman's 8-year, $66 million, I was close, extension with the Bruins makes him a 5th highest average paid goaltender. Carey Price, obviously, number 1. Sergei Bobrovsky, Andrei Vasilevsky, Connor Hellebuck, and he is tied. Jeremy Swayman is tied with Elias Sorokin at 5 with $8.25 million contract. Now, for those who've been watching the past few videos, you know that I've been kind of saying I think an 8.5 is the perfect deal. An 8-year, 8.5. That's what they should settle on. Swayman said he wouldn't, or well, not Swayman, Louis Gross said that he would not sign a 8x8 $64 million contract. An 8.5 seemed reasonable, but even now, $250,000 less. I really cannot complain about that. I'm very, very happy that this is the contract. And to be honest with you, this is actually perfect. I don't think that any lower would have been feasible. I don't think that any higher would have been too ideal. I think that 8.25, now obviously 8x8 would have been greater as well, but I don't think there was a realistic chance that we got anything below 8. So 8.25, kind of the cherry on top, and given this contract, both want an 8-year deal. I think this is the perfect way to go out of here. Perfect way to, end up with the contract at this price. And we've been all wanting it. Swayman's been wanting it. I think Louis Gross is the only one that's been wanting more, so he has more money in his back pocket. But I think, personally, I think that Swayman came into the situation, and I'm sure we're going to get more information later, so make sure to stay tuned. I'll be having a few more videos on this, but I'm sure something will come out later saying that Swayman initiated this contract talk specifically to get to this 8.25 by $8 million, simply because Swayman has said he's wanted to play hockey. He wants to be a Boston Bruin. I honestly think that this contract negotiation was frustrating him, even though he probably wasn't getting the money he wanted. I would say it's the money he deserves right now. He's going to be earning more at a later date, I'm sure. But he wants to play hockey. That's no doubt. And I think that he was the one that initiated this with the Bruins, said, I will take this. I want to be in at the beginning of the regular season. I want to play in this league. And I want to be here. I want to be in Boston. And I could not be more happy to have these words come out of my mouth and saying that it's officially official now that Swayman is signed. Let's move on to our next screenshot here. Going over to Ty Anderson. Someone asked him a question of the signing. Do they have to make any roster moves with this whole situation? No. They don't really need to. They just need to cut the roster down. The cap space is fine. That was a big issue that many people were thinking as well. I believe it was 8.6. I could be wrong on that. If I am, let me know in the comments. But I believe they had 8.6 to work with. And having Swayman get this to an 8.25, having this deal done at 8.25 by $8 million, allows a bit of time, well, the smallest margin of breathing room for the Boston Bruins. And having that ability to, make one more move if they needed to, if they wanted to have one more player join this roster, cutting down the roster and maybe, putting someone on waivers is quite an easy part to be able to do. So this in my mind is a it's a player-friendly deal, also a team-friendly deal. So, in my mind, leads to the perfect one. But as we're talking about waivers, we've spoken yesterday's video about what the Bruins were planning on doing, and that was going with 3 goalies. So Joonas Korpisalo is officially the starter for game 1, and that's going to be certain until we see Jeremy Swayman back to normal everyday hockey abilities. I'm sure he hasn't lost any of that, but you just want to get him back under his feet, back in a few more practices, since he hasn't been practicing with the Bruins, before he gets into his first game. So having Jiri Patera and Brandon Bussi as the backups here, they were going to be going a 3 goalie rotation, as it seemed. Kind of all signs were pointing to that, due to Jiri Patera and Brandon Bussi having to go through waivers to get sent down to the AHL. We know Jiri Patera would just go back to the Vancouver Canucks, who got him from the Vegas Golden Knights, had not even played a regular season game, has no statistics for the Vancouver Canucks, and they would like him back. So Jiri Patera going on the waivers would be, a certain loss for him. And Brandon Bussi as well, going on waivers. I also think that would be another guaranteed loss. I think it would be a difficult scenario to try to get him back off waivers. So we're left with an interesting situation now of where will Jeremy Swayman slot in. Obviously going to slot in that number 1, but the resulting move of who will be sent down, what goalie will be sent down, if not both. So there is a big risk here coming out of this, but the more important thing is that Jeremy Swayman is signed. The other goalies will be a later date to worry about, and still, there's a few days, just under a week, before we actually figure this out and before the deadline for the cap needs to get in, before the roster move cuts need to be made. So that's something to keep an eye on as well, which I'll have here for you guys, of course, and I'll be keeping everything updated along with that. But move on to our next screenshot here. Someone asked when his first day will be, and when his first game. Is he going to be the home opener, or is it going to be somewhere down the line? And Ty Anderson had this to say: figuring a practice time, probably looking at an October 14th matinee at most likely debut, maybe the 12th. But as it stands right now, only a couple practices set for this week, and obviously the Bruins aren't going to go too full out this week ahead of the first game of the season. They don't want to beat anybody out. They don't want to get any injuries or anything like that. It's going to be a pretty easy week going for the Boston Bruins. So, result in no practice, or a few practices, not enough time for Jeremy Swayman to suit in there, but it won't be too long. The October 16th game, that's 6 days away. That's less than a week. So, I think we're going to see Jeremy Swayman rather soon than later. Excited for Joonas Korpisalo to get a few games under his belt before that. I think it's going to be very good for him as a backup who's going to be suiting in for quite a few games this season. But having this now that Jeremy Swayman is back is such a relief, such a high tension off the backs of Bruins fans. And a lot of people are saying that Swayman's going to be traded. Nope, Swayman's going to be signed. Nope, he is officially back as a Boston Bruin. And let's hit our final screenshot, of course, which is the stats that we are looking at for him this season. Or I guess we say projected based on last season. Last year, 916 goals against, 916 save percentage with a 253 goals against. I think we're going to see some similar stats. I honestly would not surprise me if they were slightly increased this year due to more games coming for Jeremy Swayman. Last year, 44 games, but I am expecting to see him have, I'd say 55 around that area. So you're going to get a few more games. You're going to have a few more goals against you. But Jeremy Swayman really has proved himself in last year's playoffs and last season to be earning of this contract, to be deserving of it, and to be that number 1 starter. So it's official. Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. Jeremy Swayman is signed. Done for the Boston Bruins, 8-year contract. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments. More videos are going to be coming on this, so make sure to hit the sub button. You don't want to miss out on what we're going to have bringing over this next few days, especially when Jeremy Swayman speaks out, how this contract went down. We're going to have all of it here for you, but that's all I got. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button. I'm signing out. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.